Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Storyteller's Corner. I'm your host, Joshua T. Calkins-Trubergy, also known as Byron Sidious. Today, we're going to continue with the presentation of Captured, a Metroid fanfiction as written and presented by yours truly. We continue today with we left off at part 10. Captain, someone sitting at the security console, barked over at the clustered ranking members of the wrecking crew. The young woman looked terrified, staring at one of the small monitors on the console. "It's Iran. She's not in her cell, ma'am. Keith and Alex are dead." Rivet bounded over to his usual post and roughly shoved the woman out of the way, leaning down over the console. One of the small screens showed Cell 3, which was empty save for the two corpses left lying just in view on the camera's range. Keith with something sticking out of his neck, Alex without a head at all. Alex's blaster rifle was unaccounted for on screen, and Rivet figured the bounty hunter had somehow disarmed him. But how had she gotten out of the cell to begin with? Molly pressed against his left shoulder, staring down at the screen. "Roll it back. Find out what happened," she said, as the ship's PA system chimed to life overhead. "Captain, this is Millet," someone yelled over the PA comms line, the sound of weapons fire nearly drowning out his voice. "Ma'am, Iran is loose. She's got her suit on and she's engaging us. We need orders." "Move," Rivet grunted at Molly, reaching over her arm to tap away on his controls. A secondary video screen popped up beside the one showing the cell, now displaying a corridor on another deck, Iran popping her arm cannon out to fire down the way at several of their people, who were trying to stay mostly out of harm's way around a bend in the hallway. Two more men lay dead, smoking holes blown through their torsos. Rivet flicked a few buttons and two blast containment walls dropped into place, blocking off the combatants from one another, and another one isolating Iran in a short section of the fourth deck starboard section corridor. She had only a couple of rooms to work with there, one of them being the one she was in at the moment, a general provisions hold. The other room in that section was a kind of onboard library, where various old format video devices and game systems had been set up by the gang's various members over the last few years. "We've got her locked down for now, but that won't last long," Rivet said to Molly. "Tell those men to fall back and get up here to the second deck. Take position at the key choke points," he said. "Okay," Molly said, issuing the command a minute later, then heading up for her station above the others on the bridge. As she ascended, she cleared her throat, feeling a little more in control once more. "Driver, bring the dozer to a halt and disconnect the tow cable," she ordered. "Aye, ma'am," the pilot replied. "Rivet, I want you to go down and check on Hammer. If Iran's got her suit back, he's either dead or trussed up. If he isn't dead, get him geared up and take him with you to go take care of her. She isn't worth any kind of payday now, not if she tears apart our crew and our ship." "Aye, aye, ma'am," the Moscow warrior snorted, stampeding off the bridge. "All right," Molly said to herself, pulling up one of the command screens on her console. She flicked through several command functions and settled on one labeled Genetic Targeting. She selected this, then scrolled down a list of various known races in the civilized sectors of space, until she finally came upon one that she had been hoping she might never have occasion to activate. Booting up the ship's internal defense systems, she then mapped them to fire only on present sources that contained genetic code matching Metroids, and activated the weapons. "Samus hailing Jarek," the bounty hunter said, running the energy analysis program through her helmet's visor, tracing the various lines that had just come online out in the hallway. There appeared to be internal defense turrets on the ship, and some of them were now coming online. She waited a moment before the medical robot replied. "Jarek here, user Samus Aran. What can I do for you?" the robot asked over the direct line connected between them via the ship's PA network. Since the connection had been made this way, however, anyone within audible range of the robot would hear him speaking with her, and only her responses. She had to hope that nobody had become suspicious of his deactivated free will program. "Does the dozer have friend and foe targeting on the internal turret network?" she asked. "Yes, it does," the robot replied. Samus heard some beeping and clicking in the background inside her helmet, then the robot once more. It would appear that the captain has programmed the turrets to only fire on any life form bearing Metroid genetic coding on any level. That would include only yourself on board this vessel, user Samus Aran. No shit, Sherlock, she replied with a sigh. Do you have access to an override? Negative, user Samus Aran, said the robot over the line. However, I can reduce the turret's energy output per shot, if you would like. That would be ideal, Samus replied. I'm going to send you an energy signature profile, Jarek. Program the turrets to fire at full capacity when they identify it, she said, accessing her suit's function files and sending along the code she wanted Jarek to incorporate. Otherwise, I want them firing at 10% output. Acknowledged, user Samus Aran. I will make the alterations now. A brief 2-second pause followed. Then, it is done. What would you have me do now, user Samus Aran? Return to your charging station and remain there until I come to wake you up, she replied. You are dismissed. As you say, user Samus Aran, the robot replied mechanically, signing off of the PA comlink. The bounty hunter held position, wondering how long she should wait until stepping back out into the hall and launching a pocket rocket at one of the containment walls. Hammer lit a cigarette, though the motion was awkward since his hands were still shackled together in the energy bracelets. Rivet leaned with one hand braced against the wall, ion pistol in his other hand, bumping it against his hip. So, you're serious about this? The Masai warrior asked, indicating the shackles casually with his weapon. Serious as a heart attack, the Catholic replied. There's no way we can take her down on her own, even if the captain activates the internal defense turrets. Aran will figure out a way around them, I'm sure. What I can't figure out is how the hell she disrupted the force wall in her cell, Rivet said. Here, hold up. He rolled Hammer to the side a little and opened up the weapons specialist's command console on the end of his nearby workbench. He logged in under his own username and pulled up the video file feeds, cycling back to the point where Samus began punching the field. See? She's just punching it, and it flickers and everything like normal. But then, when she kicks it, he said, forwarding the video to that point and pausing the replay, it pops like a balloon. Her kicks can't be that powerful. There's no friggin' way outside of that combat suit. Well, go back a little further, Hammer said, and Rivet started rewinding the feed further, until the point where Samus was disrobing from the medical gown. All right, now wait a minute, Hammer said. Bring up a readout on screen of the power generation from the cell's force wall. Rivet did so, unsure what the Catholic was getting at. All right, now watch, Hammer said. The video played back, and the numbers along the left side of the screen jumped from 0 all the way to 2500. Rivet didn't know what any of those numbers meant, and from the confused look on Hammer's face, the Masai warrior assumed the other man didn't either. Okay. What's a regular readout look like? Hammer asked. Not a clue, Rivet replied, cycling back to live video and shifting the camera to focus on another cell, this time cell 1. Let's take a look. He quickly input the command to activate the cell's force wall, and the values jumped there from 0 to 10,000. Hammer let out a low whistle. Well, that'd do it now, wouldn't it? The Cassus observed. Somehow, we ended up putting her in a cell that wasn't operating at full power on the force wall. She knew it wouldn't be, somehow. Rand set this whole thing up, man, he said, taking one last drag on his cigarette before dropping it to the grated metal floor on the maintenance chamber. And that, my friend, is precisely why I will not be joining you on your little suicide mission. Rivet, disappointed by the Catholic's lack of spine, removed himself from the chamber, making his way back once more to the lift. Thus concludes this portion of Captured, a Metroid fanfiction tale. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are inclined to offer your support in a financial form to this particular storyteller, it would be deeply and much appreciated. I can receive donations at my PayPal account, which is byronofsidious@gmail.com. I also have Cash App with the cash tag Byron of Sidious. any and all support that can be offered without hurting your own financial situation, of course, would be deeply and eternally appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I ask that you take care of yourselves, and as always, keep reading.